If you think gladiators were only men, it's time to rethink that. In a world that saw women as weak, there were women who stood in the arenas, swords in hand, fighting in front of thousands of spectators. Who were they? How did they end up there? And why has history said so little about them? Today, in this video, we're unveiling one of the most mysterious chapters of history: female gladiators. Stay with me until the end of this video, because we're going to answer questions you might not have even thought of. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel, because this is just the beginning. Gladiators were fighters in ancient Rome who battled each other, or wild animals in arenas like the Colosseum for public entertainment. Most of them were slaves, prisoners of war, or criminals sentenced to death. But some free individuals joined the profession seeking fame or fortune. These fights were part of public spectacles designed to entertain the masses and showcase the emperor's power. Gladiators were trained in specialized schools and endured harsh conditions, yet some became beloved heroes due to their skill and bravery. These spectacles were eventually banned in the 5th century AD with the rise of Christianity and the cultural transformation of Rome. Women entered the gladiatorial profession under exceptional circumstances and during specific periods. Most of these women were slaves, brought into the arena as punishment or for special performances. However, some free women volunteered, often for financial reasons or to gain attention and fame. Female gladiatorial combat was typically more theatrical and intended to captivate select audiences or celebrate imperial events. Nevertheless, these battles were rare and short-lived, as Roman authorities viewed women in the arena as a challenge to societal norms and traditions. Eventually, female participation in gladiatorial games was officially banned. Many female gladiators were slaves who were forced into the arena as punishment or to entertain nobles and the public during special events. These women had to fight for survival and were trained in combat skills at gladiator camps. Some free women, despite societal disapproval, voluntarily became gladiators. Their reasons varied, ranging from the pursuit of fame and the thrill of combat to the promise of financial rewards. However, the number of female gladiators was very small, and they were often seen as part of a secondary or theatrical attraction. Their presence in the arena peaked during Emperor Domitian's reign, aimed at captivating audiences and challenging stereotypes. But it was later restricted by legal bans. Back in those times, women were considered unsuitable for such roles. Even when they did enter the arena, they were mostly seen as a secondary attraction. But female gladiators challenged those perceptions. Life as a gladiator, whether man or woman, was incredibly tough. Intense training, limited diets, and the constant risk of death in every fight were just some of the harsh realities of this life. Now the question is, why is this part of history so obscure? One reason is that the Romans eventually banned female gladiatorial combat. Very few records or memorials of them remain, and history has mostly been written about men. We still see the legacy of female gladiators today in films and stories. From brave women in TV series to iconic characters in video games, these women continue to inspire. In the future, with the growth of women's rights movements and increased focus on gender equality, the history of female gladiators and their role in ancient society is likely to receive more attention. These stories could be seen as symbols of women's struggle and strength against oppressive patriarchal systems. Additionally, with advancements in technology and the creation of new spaces for learning and research, there will be greater opportunities to reconstruct and showcase this part of history through documentaries, films, and educational programs. We may also witness a rise in the portrayal of women inspired by gladiators in contemporary culture, from strong female characters in films and TV series to stories that highlight women as true warriors in history. Especially in the world of video games and science fiction, the presence of these women can serve as symbols of freedom and breaking social barriers. Ultimately, with greater awareness of women's history and the overlooked contributions, future generations may come to recognize these women as true pioneers in the fight for equality and human rights, preserving and honoring their legacy with respect and admiration. Female gladiators, though a small part of Roman history, showed that even in the toughest circumstances, it's possible to break stereotypes and become immortalized. Until the next video, goodbye.